Okay, this video is about custom cursor, how to deactivate and reactivate your objects on screen, and I'm going to talk about a pause. The reason why I'm going to go back over the cursor and deactivate and activate items on your screen is because there was some kind of like a bug in it, so I'm going to talk about that. Okay, the first thing is the cursor. When I talked about the video before, you notice that these two, the start button and the load button, was way up here at the top, and that's because my custom cursor could not go down to the bottom location area, because it would just literally stop. It wouldn't move anymore, and then you would see the normal cursor drag off the game window onto my main desktop, and like I said, the cursor would not move in this location or anything lower than this. It would go only up to the top, and that's it. And I found out it was because of my window size. I had it 3300 by 1991, and so I had to make this window smaller. You'll see that this window is kind of small here, but I can show you how to fix that. It just the reason why I have it small is that way you can see the whole full game on screen, because if I made it real large, then it would be off on my phone here, my camera phone. So I'll show you how to fix this in a minute. Let me go ahead and talk about the second issue, which will be how I fix the deactivate and reactivate items on your screen. Okay, so what I'm talking about is those boxes on the right hand side there. You can deactivate them, reactivate them. So F2 will deactivate, F1 will reactivate. It's not really reactivating, deactivating, it's hiding and revealing. So the issue I had with it is after you use the crystal, then the pink box at the bottom would pop up empty, and I had it not revealed, but it would pop up anyway. So couldn't really get around that issue. But what I did was when I hide it and then I use it, all the boxes come back. So you can hide it and move around, of course, but as soon as you use it, all the boxes are going to show back up again. And that's the only way I was able to really fix it. So even when you pick up items here, you'll pick it up here, of course, but then you can hide it. But when you pick up an item, it's going to make all the boxes pop up. And in a way, that's kind of natural. It's kind of expected that that's going to happen. That way you know exactly what item you have in your inventory. And same thing with the door. If you were to go to the door, it would show and you need a key, and all the boxes would also pop up too. And same thing would apply to when you grab the key over here. When you grab this key right here, then all the boxes pop up too. And so it's kind of natural. You pretty much want that to happen, because I couldn't figure out how to like keep all the boxes hidden if you had them hidden after using all your items. It just had an issue with a box popping up, empty box popping up, even though it was hidden. So that's the only way I could fix that, and I will talk about that in a minute. And then I have a pause. When you press the P button, it pauses. It turns black screen, but there's audio playing in the background. You can press the R button to resume. So I'll talk about how I did that. Now I was trying to make another room to make it so it'd say pause and press R to resume, but when I did that, I had an issue with it not being 3D anymore. It was showing it was messing up. showing a glitch of him not really being a 3D room anymore, or fake 3D room anymore. You can see the items in the distance being 3D, and so it's pretty much acting like it's 2D in a 3D world. It was messed up, so that didn't work, and I tried to fix it, but it wouldn't work. Much like I talked about before with the load, where it messed up. The background was far in the distance, and it was kind of 3D, but it wasn't 3D. It's more two-dimensional, and like I said, I fixed that issue, but in this one I wasn't able to fix with the pause. So you're going to have a black screen when it pauses, and then when you resume, you go back to where you were originally. So I'll show you how I did that. Alright, so the first thing here I'll talk about is a pause. So in the pause, it's just a green object, not visible, and I put it in the first room here, not on the main screen here, but it's in the second room, and it's not visible. And the pause is basically instance underscore deactivate underscore all, and then you want to say parentheses true, and then in parentheses. That's going to deactivate all your objects in the room at one time. It's not going to delete it, it's going to just deactivate it. And then you press R to resume. So it's going to say instance underscore active underscore all, parentheses, in parentheses. So it's going to resume where you left off at, and project all the objects back to where it was originally. And like I said, you could have on your main screen, you could say something about press P to pause, press R to resume. But you're not going to be able to make a room that says game pause or whatever, because I tried it and it didn't work. It made everything not 3D anymore, and it's a glitch in the system. So this is how I had to do the pause. So it's just going to be a black screen pretty much. And it doesn't actually go to a room. It just like I said, it pretty much deactivates everything, and the room, I guess, was black and to begin with, so that's why it's black, I guess. Alright, and so that's that. And then in the load button, I had to basically well, in the load, there's nothing here that states anything about the pause. But I did put the load in the save message here that blinks when you go to the next room. So it's going to basically, when the load message pops up or save message pops up, there's a P and there's a R as well. Deactivate all, and then you're going to resume all. But also, after the 50 milliseconds is up on the save message that blinks up on screen, it's going to switch to, originally I had to delete. I deleted the save image, but it's going to actually switch to object continue pause. So this object continue pause is going to project this green box again on the second room, and it's going to allow you to pause and resume as well. And the reason why I did this, because the load, even if I put in the second room the green box, which is not shown right now in here, it will not pause the game when you load back up for some reason. So I guess you could put the green box in there if you jump to the next room, but if you were to load it, it would not, you wouldn't be able to use the pause button or resume. So that's why I had to actually put it in the game saved. So after the game save switches to the object continue pause, it will allow you to pause and resume. But if I were not to have that in there, then it would not pause and resume. It probably would pause and resume if you move to the next room without loading it up. It would if you had the green box in there, but when you load it up pressing the button to load, it wouldn't allow you to pause and resume, if you understand what I'm talking about. So I had to actually put it in the game save, and then after 50 milliseconds, it would switch to object continual pause, which will allow you to pause and resume when you press the load button. So I tried to put that information in the load button, and it didn't seem to work for some reason. So I had to do a different approach. And like I said, the cursor. Okay, so what I did with the cursor is all this is the same with the jump position and the step. But what I had to do was I had to change all the rooms to a different size. So I've changed it to 1070 by 700. So all the rooms are set to 1070 by 700. And that made the room smaller, which of course then I had to make the images smaller. But then it allowed me to move the cursor from the top to the bottom without any problem. Before, the room was set to 3300 by 1991, and it was too large, and for some reason the mouse cursor did not move completely down to the bottom. It only moved halfway, and it would stop, and then it would show my original cursor on my desktop, and I don't know why I did that. So I had to change the width and height of the room. So if I were to go into my global settings and change this to start in full and change this to keep aspect ratio, then that would change my screen size to the full screen on my computer, which is what you want to do when you make your game. But when I show you this on my phone, it's going to be too big. You're not going to be able to see the whole thing, but I'll just show it to you in what I'm talking about. See, it's kind of too big here, of course. But it goes from the top to bottom on the cursor here. So I just keep it at a fixed scale at 50. That way you can see the whole screen. And I think that's about, and then with the hide and reveal with the items. So basically, when you go to the enter button, when I press the enter button, use my crystal, I have this code in here that states that it's going to make everything visible again. All this code that I talked about before in my other video, but I just copied this code from my object hide show. So have F1 will make everything visible, F2 will hide everything. So I just took everything from F1 and copied that, I believe. I think F2. So I took everything from F2, which will make everything visible again. I copied that and I put it into, when I press enter to use my crystal, make everything visible. Make sure I told you that right. Okay, so I took everything from F1 and put it into my crystal one. So when I press the button to use my crystal, then it's going to make all my inventory come back on the screen. Because like I said before, I had it set up where you press enter to use the crystal, and then it wouldn't show up it would not show any of my boxes on the screen, which is good. But after I was done using all my crystals up, it would show an empty pink box of where the crystal was originally, and it wouldn't show anything else. So it looks stupid looking, and it didn't make sense. So I just made everything come back after you use the crystal, but I didn't put it in the gun setup. So in the gun setup, not everything will come back, because it's kind of stupid. You're shooting a gun one time, and then all of a sudden everything blinks back up on the screen. Then you hide it, you press the gun again, and it all blinks back up. So it didn't make sense to put it in the gun area, but it did make sense to put it in the, maybe when you're done using all your bullets, you could put it in here. When you're done using all your bullets, then make everything come back on screen if you wanted to. But I just basically put it in the crystal location, and also when he picks up objects, so when he picks up the gun box, all the items come back on screen for the player, and the end player for the second room, all the objects come back on screen. So that's the first gun box he picks up a weapon, and then the second gun box, which is somewhere around here, the object gun box 2. So object player and object end player gets the same information, so when he picks up the next weapon, then it makes everything pop up on screen, all your inventory. So if you already had it on screen and you don't hide it, then nothing's going to happen, of course. But if everything is hidden and you pick up the weapon for the first time, then it's going to make all your items in your inventory pop back up. So it only makes sense to put it there. That way you know you have that item in your inventory or something. And then, like I said, when you when you have no key, when you hit the door, then it makes all that code come back, all your information on your inventory come back on screen too. So that's what I did. So I'll put this game up there for you guys to download, and you can mess around with it. Might end up making these buttons animate when you hover over top of the start and the load. And like I said, I got some other things I want to add to this game. I'm going to do a timer. I'm going to do prisoner and key and cell. I'm going to try to do a mask over a health bar. I don't think you can do a custom health bar on this one, anyways. But I can do a mask to make it look more custom made in a way that will go over top of the health bar and look a little different. I'm going to do a boss, and then I'm going to do transfer it to Android. And I'm going to try to animate the weapon, so when you press a button to move to the next weapon, it kind of animates up on screen instead of just blinking on screen. I see if I can try to do that. Alright, thanks for watching.